this is Turtle
and Bunny
in the Roaring 20s.
You know, at one point we're actually going to get that figured out.
At some point.
I really hope we do, because it feels like every time we try it, it's just like...
Or at some point we're just going to do it over and over again until we record the audio, and then I'll just drop it over every time.
Practice makes permanent. So,
hey. Yep, and then we'll never have to get it right again. And I'll just dub it over every time.
It. That'll make things so much easier. Okay.
I'll just cut to the title screen and dub it every time.
At one point, we will do that. That would be so great.
Yes,
we should do like a whole hour of just trying to figure that out.
Just trying to say that right.
All right.
Okay.
So, tomorrow's Thanksgiving.
Yes, tomorrow is Thanksgiving.
And today we're actually going to... have a couple of hot button topics.
Hot button topics. So we just thought that on our podcast this week, since we try to help you guys manage the stresses in your life and stuff like that, right now, family holidays are the most stressful things on most of our plates. So we thought that we would help you guys navigate some of these hot questions that your family might ask you when you head out for Thanksgiving.
Oh, so looking forward to it, aren't you?
You don't have to do it with family.
I know.
But yes, I actually just stopped by my parents' house for the afternoon, like just last weekend, and I was talking about my move to California, to Los Angeles, and of course, during one of those lulls where every other conversation in the house seems to have stopped, my stepmom was like, "You didn't tell me you were moving in May."
Super loud.
Everybody in the whole house was like, "Wait, you're moving to California?"
It's like, I feel like you've discussed that with them.
I have. I'm like, this isn't necessarily new, but yes. So family is always a complex thing to deal with, but especially around the holidays. Especially when you've got people asking you about things that we normally don't talk about or try not to talk about.
Right. So the funny thing is, like, I'm going to be visiting home actually in January, so I'll be skipping Thanksgiving and Christmas, and because flights to Hawaii are significantly cheaper in January because it's after the holiday. And I know the topics are going to be me going back to school, me dating, and I'm just like, how am I going to navigate these things? My parents, absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
Love my family. But it's still just some of those harder questions. And, we're going to talk about some of the harder questions that may or may not come up. Hopefully everything is smooth for you guys. But let's be honest, it's life.
Yes.
So we have some lemon. So we're going to make some lemon drops. I mean lemonade.
You're adorable. But before we go ahead and get into our little game, it's Thanksgiving. We can't have Thanksgiving without food, right? So what did you bring to our little Thanksgiving picnic?
I went to Trader Joe's because it's Trader Joe's.
What?
And it's busy around this time of year, but even still, went to Trader Joe's and got apple cider, which I'm super excited about. And then I also got, the few times where I actually get something gluten-free is their, coffee muffins or coffee cake muffins. They're super freaking yummy. I think you'll really like it.
This looks delicious.
Yeah, it's super good.
Here, why don't you pour some cider and I'll unwrap this beautiful. Look, I wonder, can you guys see the sugar like glistening on this muffin?
I feel like we didn't shake it up that much. I saw that was like a trick online, so we're gonna take this.
That's a thing. Like with soda cans, you're supposed to tap the top of the cans and then you do that. I think it's the same concept. Yeah.
Oh, and now it's too slippery. Hold on.
All lubed up and she can't handle it.
That's okay. Thanks, babe. You're so wonderful.
You can see why we get along great at family events.
Oh my god, we so wouldn't.
You've been to birthdays with my family.
Yeah,
twice,
but like
I'm
parents.
pretty sure you didn't talk.
I didn't talk. You want to know why? This is why I didn't talk much. And I know for a fact it would be so much worse. I can't open this. It'd be so much worse if
usually this goes the other way.
Does it?
Yeah, you're opening things for me.
That's actually true. The thing is, I don't talk around family because, like, I've gotten so used to not being around family. You can't open it.
It's ridiculous.
Not to be sexist, but we need a man.
Come on, you got it. It's because that part isn't cracked. when we decided to do food on this show. I did not expect it to be this difficult. Is it doing anything?
No. What? I'm actually
We're
tempted
about to have to go Opa on this.
Opa! Oh wait, no, there's a lip on it. Never mind. Right.
Okay. 3 kitchen utensils later.
Seriously. Why Trader Joe's? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love you guys, but that was a little too complicated.
That was a lot.
At least you got it though. That was on
got
you.
it. Thank you.
Yeah, you did that.
It.
I'm usually the one opening shit. You're right.
Yes.
All right.
Role reversal today.
Yeah. This is why I don't talk anytime your parents are around. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I would I don't want to take you home to my parents.
Except you've said you do.
I mean, potentially, but then, realistically, love you, but no.
Pour some juice.
Pour me first.
My muffin's crumbling. No, it's not. It's nice and moist.
I hate that word. You know I hate that word. You know I hate that word.
I love that word.
Why do you love that word?
I think it sounds nice.
It doesn't.
No. Okay, fine. Well, I'll be fair and I'll tell you my least favorite word.
What's your least favorite word?
Raunchy. I can't stand the way that word sounds.
Raunchy?
Yeah.
Okay, I can kind of get that.
I don't like it. It sounds like exactly what it means, and it just makes me go.
Alright, did you bring anything?
Really good. Oh my god.
Yeah, told you. Especially for gluten-free, which I was quite surprised about myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you bring? Did you bring anything?
Yes, of course. It's Thanksgiving, so I brought pie.
Ooh, yummy.
Little pies.
Tiny pie, little chocolate pie.
Little chocolate pies.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just got the very strong urge to just
You would. This is another reason why I won't date you. Absolutely will not.
Serve yourself your little chocolate pie. You're actually gonna try it?
Yeah. You bought it. Might as well.
Aww.
Right. That's not bad, actually. I'm not mad about that at all.
She doubted me.
I doubted you a lot of things, babe.
That's just sad.
No, it's not. I trust your judgment on some things, not everything. Yeah, you trust my judgment on things.
Mm-hmm.
They were evenly balanced.
Most of the time, yeah.
Right.
So, let's see if we can use our best judgment to answer some of these questions.
Oh, super sweet.
Okay. Here we go.
I'm still keeping that jar. All right. How's your job at the place that you're no longer working at going? Shoot. So the question is, how is your job going at the place that you are no longer working? And that's actually an interesting topic. I've been at my job for 3 years, but
yeah,
I know the question is for me going to be, or in general, how's your job going?
Right. So the question is, how is your job going? Or how how is your job at Michael's going, but you don't work there anymore and you haven't told your family because you don't really want to deal with whatever the reason was that you're not working there anymore.
Yeah. So mine was going to be well, I've found a better opportunity to, I found a better opportunity, so I've since moved on from that job. And that's the, politically correct way.
Right.
Granted, it does leave a little room for more questions, but at the very least, hey, I've opened up this channel of I'm no longer working there.
Right. I feel like that's one that's the pretty easy go to of, oh, I found a better opportunity, but I'm sure there's some of you out there cringing because you're like, oh, if I say a better opportunity, they're going to say, oh, where? And if you now work somewhere that is a massive chain that doesn't have a very good rep, or you are working somewhere where maybe you are making a little bit less than you were at the last place, then once that line of questioning continues, you're still in uncomfortable territory. So
standing up for yourself in those kind of situations is hard because it's a better opportunity for me because I'm no longer working at that job. And for a lot of people, especially if you are a people pleaser or a people pleaser in recovery, it's going to be a little bit hard standing up for yourself saying hey, I no longer work there because it's not the best spot for me at this time. And if I choose to go back, I've chosen to go back or, move on from this particular situation.
Right.
Realistically, I would much rather say that job, I decided to quit or I got fired for insert whatever reason, because let's be honest, like working, like how's Starbucks going? Starbucks sucks. Okay. As much as we all love Starbucks, working for Starbucks can like be really draining. So
I actually just had a table. I don't remember how long ago it was, but I just distinctly remember this table anytime someone brings up Starbucks. Because she came in and I was like, I did my usual spiel like, hey, you guys celebrating anything tonight? She was like, yeah, we're celebrating that I quit Starbucks.
Nice.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's, I've had friends celebrate that before. How long have you been at Starbucks? And she was like, 2.5 years. And I'm like, yep. That sounds about right. Just like a cell phone. You can only be at Starbucks for 2 years before it starts going bad.
Oh my God, seriously. I love Starbucks. Like every time I go to Starbucks, they're super nice. But you have to be nice to them, obviously.
Right. Well, and there's always, just like any corporate chain, eventually you're going to have bureaucratic burnout, right?
Right.
And so, when getting into honest answers, it is okay to tell your family that you are suffering from bureaucratic burnout at your job, which, if you don't know what that means, it basically means when you start to feel like a little cog in the big machine of these corporations that a lot of us work for. When you start to feel like you are insignificant in the whole. And the truth is, you could move to another company that is part of another large chain that probably has a lot of similar issues or a lot of their own issues, and you, just by moving jobs, you'll be happier again for 6 months or a year. And if that's what it takes, that's okay. I just recently changed jobs for exactly that reason. There wasn't anything wrong with the job that I was at, but I was feeling burnt out by the system, and just moving into a new environment made me feel like I could be excited about my job again, even though I'm doing the exact same thing.
Right. So, funny thing is, even if you have, let's go ahead and flip the coin on that a little bit, because maybe you've been at the same job for 2, 3, 5 years, and you get asked, be like, oh, so how's your job going? Knowing that the people who are asking are expecting you to leave that job at one point or another.
Move up or move out.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that's something that I'm going to be experiencing when I go to visit home. And the less problematic answer that I've come and put together is, for right now, it is a safe space before I am ready to jump into the next opportunity. And I know my parents will be okay with that question, with that answer. My aunt, love my aunt, but she's gonna keep asking questions. But my parents will be okay with that answer, because right now, I have been at the same job for. It has been 3 years. Yeah. Since we've known each other, I think.
Yeah.
Right? So I have been at the same job, and it's just a little bit harder because I do want to leave this job. As much as I appreciate the job that I'm at, it's actually a really good job. It's just, it's been 3 years.
Right. And it's an entry-level job. And you're moving up in the career world as far as, okay, you've been doing this for a while. You want to do a job where you're not just at the baseline.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and that totally makes sense. So, a lot of times, especially when people ask about our careers, it can be really, really scary because, obviously, we're talking about how we support ourselves, and a lot of times, especially around our family, their opinion of how well we're doing or whether we are able to support ourselves is based on what job we're working. And so I think my biggest tip would just be, don't be afraid. If you're going to be honest about the fact that your career path is changing, don't be afraid to be honest about why, because chances are your family at some point has experienced something in a job themselves to where if you come to them and you're like, yeah, I was experiencing this chronic issue with my boss and I just couldn't work in that environment anymore. Or, they had me on all these swing shifts and my sleep was taking toll on my health. It's hard for us to talk about those things because it makes us feel vulnerable to admit that we're not feeling well. But I think
more often than not, our viewers will find that your family actually probably will come back and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I was working this job and that I was dealing with this boss that was just a total, and at some point you have to follow the best career path for you, because also sometimes even staying at a job that pays well, you may not get the chance to advance if you're not clicking with the environment.
Exactly.
So
hopefully.
All right. So that question actually wasn't too bad.
That was an easy question.
That was a good starter question. So, all right. Shake it up. Shake it up. I know you've been wanting to shake it up.
I really have been.
Okay.
My lady.
Here we go. You ready?
Never.
Okay. No, this one's, we're gonna jump right into it.
0 to 60?
Yes. How is your relationship with blank going in relation to coming out as poly?
Oh, fuck.
We're just gonna jump into it now.
0 to 60. Wow. Okay.
Yes. So, yes, how is your relationship with X going? Why isn't your partner here with you tonight? Both of those questions in relation to talking about poly with our family.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
So I think this is definitely a tough one, especially because, like, the very first one is, if someone asks, how is your relationship with so-and-so going? Why didn't they come with you tonight? When the answer might be that partner is at their metas, with their metas family, or with your metas family. And that they may be at a family holiday with either a family that they have with their spouse and their children, or they're going to their spouse's family's event.
So how about we not, like, make it so it's poly, but also just, like, non-conventional relationships?
Yeah, that's fair.
So, because, let's say, for example, I have someone who I spend a lot of time with, but we aren't together, like you and I.
Right.
Because my parents did ask me, like, hey, are you going to bring anybody with you when you come to visit? And I told them no. And, they asked me, why? Why? And it's kind of hard to explain because, like, how do you explain to people who are in this heteronormative life? My parents have been married for, 27 years. And, I came out as poly and bisexual, and they, like, assumed I was eventually going to bring somebody home because, I left my ex-husband. Maybe I'm bringing someone home now.
Yeah.
And, trying to explain to them, like, okay, well, I have these relationships that are exactly, like, normal in their standards. So explain.
Unconventional.
I like that word. Thank you. So trying to explain that, one, reiterating the type of relationship that I have with the people that I, bring up to them, like my friends with benefits, you, other people, trying to re-explain the kind of relationship that it is before jumping into the why they may not be here or how it is actually going. So not just like in poly, but in queer platonic relationships and friends with benefits.
Right. Like, even if you were to tell your mom that I'm coming home with you, there would have to be the distinction of, like, oh, is this a girl you're dating? No. It's just someone who's important in my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so reiterating the relationship in question. So we can just, I wanted to, like, point out, like, hey, we're not just making a poly, but just, like, non-conventional relationships.
Right.
So, like, let's say you and I decide that you're not coming home with me for my vacation in January. And, they ask me, like, why didn't you bring Turtle with you? And I tell them, like, well, Turtle is a queer platonic relationship who has a primary partner who she spends the majority of her time with, and bringing her would also mean bringing her partner, as opposed to us being able to just hang out. So instead of taking a week of her being away from her partner, which would inevitably make both of you sad because you would be missing each other, which is it's so cute, but it's also, I know what I would be doing.
Yes.
And instead of taking that week, we decided to spend a weekend together when I get back home.
Yeah.
No, I think that's definitely, like, also being able to be comfortable stating, because I guess that question, how's your relationship going, could also be asked in relation to, oh, you guys have been dating casually for a while, like, when do you think you're going to move in together, or, are things getting more serious or whatever, but that we have another question about that. Yeah. But, definitely, like, it's okay to explain to people that, your relationships are in whatever stage they're in. And, if you're trying to go for the conservative answer, you can always say, I think we're on a great track, or, of course, with family holidays, if they're not there, the safe answer is always, they really wanted to be with their family this year. And then if they ask, well, why didn't you go with them?
Because I wanted to be with my family.
I really wanted to see you guys.
Right.
And then if they villainize you for that, then
call us.
We'll be right back. But first, let's stop for a sip.
Call us. We'll be fine.
We always accept strays on Friendsgiving.
Seriously.
Always.
It should be fun.
Always. All of them.
Bring dessert.
Yes, as long as you bring dessert.
And gin.
And dessert, gin, wine, all acceptable.
Especially gin. How am I the worst? Gin is good. It's you come on. You can drink gin with like a sprig of or splash of lemon juice or lime and just be good. I'm golden.
I don't drink gin. So
you don't drink gin?
No.
We're gonna change that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Now back to our podcast.
Yes. So yeah, the conservative answers are just, I think we're on the right track, or, yeah, I don't think you have to say anything more than that. It's,
well, that's a
we can't
answer.
always know everything. Yeah. So I think we're on the right track. If things are going well, they're with their family. If they're not, they're with you. But if you are ready to dive into coming out as poly, or perhaps even if you and your partner have decided that this is the event, that you're going to come out to your family and you just want to get it done with everybody all at once.
Shoot, don't do that.
Some people do choose
Some
to
people
do
that?
I
could not imagine
I would not recommend doing it to everybody all at once. If you're going to come out as poly during a family holiday, which for some of you, if you're really wanting to come out to your family, because you're wanting to start bringing a third home for family holidays, or you're wanting to share your experiences with that person on social media, or just be able to express your happiness in your relationship openly, and you decide, and for some people, family holidays may be the only opportunity you have to have that conversation face to face. So I would recommend that if you choose to do it during a family holiday, first of all, break it down. Start with the person who you think is going to have the least reaction, and tell them when you are having a private conversation with them. Not necessarily like private, but when the two of you are one-on-one having a conversation. And then sort of move on to the next quote-unquote safest person, and just sort of disseminate it throughout conversations, because then, and this can also be tricky as well, but it gives the opportunity then for your family members to talk to each other. And sometimes if, say, you tell your sister first, and then she goes and talks to your mom about it, she might have the opportunity to calm your mom down a little bit before you get to your mom.
See, I heard that I'm going to tell the biggest gossip in the family and let them say it. That's what I heard, and I've seen it happen.
Okay, but I said to start with the safest person. You just assumed the sister was a gossip.
This is why I said this is what I heard when you said that, okay? Which I've seen happen. People
Don't start with the gossip.
Start with the gossip.
See, different tactics.
See, the thing is, I legitimately have seen it happen, and not like with family. It happened in school.
Okay.
But he told the gossip, and then the whole school knew, so he didn't have to talk about it. And then he shortly transitioned. So it was perfect.
I mean, hey, that might, that actually... Depending on the type of family you have.
Depending on the type of family you have. If you have a family gossip and you don't want to actually talk about it, tell your gossip. They'll tell everyone. It's usually an auntie, a cousin. It's usually an auntie or a cousin. It's usually not grandma. In my personal experience, but it's usually an auntie or a cousin who is the family gossip and will tell everybody for you. So it's just, yeah. I mean, you want to do the conservative side of things, and I'm not so quite conservative. I mean,
right. Well, no, but the point is that being honest about it can be hard, and hopefully you have a family where you can do that and you don't immediately have in the middle of a perfectly normal conversation and you hear your grandmother from across the house yelling, "Marianne, what's this I hear about you dating a woman?"
Funny enough, funny enough, I told my grandmother that I got married. I did not tell my grandmother that the person I had married was a white man. So when my grandmother went to visit my parents, they had a picture of my ex-husband on their refrigerator, and my grandmother was like, "Who is this white boy?" And my parents were like, that's Bunny's husband. And then my parents called me like, "Did you not tell your grandmother?" I'm like, "I told her I got married." And my parents were just like, "You know what, okay, well then." We told her, and I'm just like, I don't know why it matters, and because it matters, I didn't tell. But that was me personally.
Yes. So, but if you're choosing the family holiday as the time to come out as poly, I would recommend, if you're not in a family that you think is going to be widely accepting, or if you're in a family that won't know what it is yet, because a lot of people have that as well, my recommendation would be just to break it down into small groups. Talk to people in ones or twos, and then that way you don't have to deal with the whole peanut gallery of questions all at once.
True.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's also the how do we hide it, because let's be honest, we don't want to talk about it.
Yes.
So just like, hey, can you not text me between this hour and this hour? We appreciate it. I have a nosy cousin.
Yeah, so that's the other thing too, is make sure if you're not ready to tell your family that you set boundaries with your partners before you head out to the holiday in order to protect your privacy.
Yeah.
So yeah. Awesome. Well,
we definitely went past that time limit that we had for that question.
Turtle and Bunny will be back in just a moment. But first, if you're loving what you're hearing, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to us on YouTube. You can subscribe on YouTube or follow us on TikTok and Instagram at the handle TurtleBunny20s. And if you're looking for even more fun, great content, check out our personal profiles on both TikTok and Instagram at the handles listed on the screen. Now back to our podcast.
Alrighty.
I'm just going to pick off the top. Okay. Alright, so what is this? What is this? Are you seeing anybody these days? Well then. So this is going to be closer to like the coming out thing, not just as polyamorous, but also like in the queer spectrum. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
In regards to like coming out. I will probably play the devil's advocate in this one.
Okay.
I personally don't think holidays are a great day to come out. And my reasoning for that is because people are already stressed out. What's cooking in the oven? Did the so-and-so get seasoned well? Where are the plates someone was supposed to bring them? Grandma's not going to be able to come this time. She's not feeling well. COVID and holidays. I personally don't think the holidays are the best time to come out. You know what I mean?
That's fair, but like we mentioned, for some people, this might be the only time they see their family all year.
True. Maybe grandma was able to come.
Well, and not only that, but this conversation isn't just about the day of the holiday. Some people come for a whole week during Thanksgiving.
True.
Or a whole week from Christmas to New Year's.
Yeah, all of this week they could be spending time with their family.
Exactly. And if you're sitting with that stewing, or like, you're not gonna, especially if you're in a poly relationship and you and your partner are at your parents' house and you're telling your third not to text you while you're there, that's one thing. It sucks, but that's one thing. if you're queer and that is your only partner, you're going to tell them not to text you for a week?
That's a good point.
Like,
I mean, like, okay, maybe I should reiterate, date of the holiday may
yes,
not be
maybe
the
not on
best
the day
time.
of the holiday, but yeah, it, like, for some people, this is the only opportunity that they get to come out. And so are you seeing anybody? We ended up with these questions a little bit out of order, but you know, the conservative answers are always, well, I'm dating, but I haven't found anybody special.
That would be an outright lie, it's considering.
Right, and a lot of people don't want to say that, especially if they do have someone significant in their life.
Mm-hmm.
You could, you know, I'm seeing someone, but we're not ready to make it public. Of course, that generally tends to make families cry because they're like, we're not the public.
True. Just like, well, how about, I'm seeing someone, but right now we're not as serious, so I decided not to bring them home, and I really don't want to talk about it. No, granted, that's going to cause some questions, like, oh, what's going on? What's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
But also, we're like, hey, I've already established that I don't really want to talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it later.
Right. And that's something I want to reiterate over and over again throughout this episode. We're trying to help you guys talk about things, but it is also always okay to say, I just don't want to talk about it right now.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you do get that question and you want to bridge the gap, my favorite one, if you're like wanting to be subtle or like not wanting to do the like having to say I'm gay, my favorite one is when someone's like, oh, are you seeing anybody recently? You know, oh yeah, I've been seeing someone, she and I have been having a really good time. Just the pronoun drop. That's one that I like. It's worked with a couple of my family members, but you have to have family members that are already like borderline
not paying
accepting
attention.
For that one. Either they don't pay attention or they're already accepting enough that like because a lot of times I find that when you drop it in subtly like that, most people are too embarrassed to call attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they do notice, they'll be like, oh, as opposed to, oh, you're dating a girl? Like, whereas if you say, yeah, I'm dating this girl right now, and it's obvious, people are more likely, I feel like, to hook onto it. Whereas if you just do the pronoun drop, then they might be like, oh. Because they have to take the moment to think about it, and then by then they've already shut themselves up from their smart-ass comment.
Probably. I mean, it's like, okay, we're like, do the pronoun drop and just keep going. Mm-hmm. Just keep going. Don't stop. Full steam ahead if you're going to do that one. You're already balls deep. You did the pronoun drop. You might as well keep going. I think that's a really scary thing, though, because coming out can be really hard.
Right.
So the subtlety of it is probably a good way to do it if you feel like your family may be a little bit more accepting.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm gonna be the bad guy about this. Have an exit plan. Mm-hmm. You know, let's say you do the pronoun drop. You talk about this person that you're seeing as of the same gender or non-gender conforming person, and they're like somewhat outraged. As elitist as it might sound, as privileged as it might sound, have a game plan, have an exit plan. Be like, hey, I'm probably going to come out. I'm probably going to talk to my parents, aunts, uncles, insert whatever family, and they may not respond well. Can I count on you to get me out of there sooner rather than later? You know, because it's hard coming out like that. Yeah. So as much as we want to be able to talk about it, I really also want to like help
know
you guys
how
get
to
through.
leave safely.
Yeah, know how to leave safely. And I really want to talk about that in another episode. Be like, hey, how do we leave safely? Because majority of you guys who are going to be watching this are going to be like late teens,
early
20s, late 20s.
Yeah.
And in this generation, late 20s still may be living with parents. Right. Have a game plan to get out. And sometimes that game plan takes a while. It's not going to take the span of a week of a holiday. Right. Hopefully you're just, kind of visiting at that time. or their family, or the people who are visiting are just visiting, like they live a couple houses down or something. And maybe we'll be able to have that conversation of like, who are you dating right now? I met this person online. She and I went on a date. It was super fun. We might see each other again. And then just keep pushing. But burpees.
Yeah.
Have little nose bubbles. I mean, I know that take a little bit of a darker turn, but I knew I had to think about that.
Right.
You know, just having a game plan. I wasn't immediately thinking my parents were going to be super accepting of their polyamorous, bisexual, 20-something daughter who decided not to move back home.
Yeah. No, that's understandable. And the truth is, I think also, people in general just tend to put a lot of stress on holidays that they have to be these perfect, joyful events every single time. And I think we need to forgive ourselves a little bit and alleviate ourselves of any guilt we might feel for a holiday not going off as a picture perfect event. Holidays are stressful.
Always.
Holidays are crappy half the time. And I have never been through one where somebody hasn't had a panic attack. I have a big family, okay? Holidays, somebody has a panic attack because I have a big family and we all have anxiety. Okay? And so, right now, I'm telling our viewers, let go of any guilt that you might have if a conversation that you have on a holiday doesn't go according to plan. Because, you know, it takes two to tango. So if you bring up a topic and somebody else gets upset, you are not responsible for their reaction. No matter how big or small it is, if they make a scene out of it, it is not your fault. Even if they want to scream, you know, you ruined this holiday. No, they ruined it by making a scene out of it. And so, you know, I understand it's hard to be around family and feel like you have something that you need to say or something that you need to talk about and that maybe you can't. And if you decide that you need to stand up and talk about it, you know, stand by that, and no matter what, just don't feel guilty for speaking your truth. Because, the holidays should be about loving each other and loving ourselves. And if you can't feel comfortable loving yourself, then there are better places for you to spend your holidays.
And then we can get into Friendsgiving a little bit later.
Yeah.
Friendsgiving is usually more fun.
Yes.
Not that your family isn't fun, but let's be honest, it's Friendsgiving, and it usually involves a lot more drinking.
Yes.
A lot more
usually
drinking.
when family holidays involve drinking, it's not fun.
No, but when friends involve drinking, there's usually a lot of fun.
Yes. Yes. All right. On to the next one. Alrighty.
It drops. It's mine now.
She collected a pebble.
I did. It's mine. I didn't take it out of the jar. It fell.
I told her before we started that she wasn't allowed to steal any pebbles from the jar, so she just found a loophole.
I'm a brat.
Alrighty.
Shout out to Ash Nico.
Ready. Oh, this one's for you, baby.
Oh,
Ready?
What do you think?
So when can we expect to see grandbabies?
Oh my god. So we're gonna jump past the conservative answer.
Bunny's favorite question.
Not happening. I am not popping out crotch goblins. I am happily the auntie. So we're just gonna jump right past the conservative answer.
That's her. That is Bunny's answer. Bunny's I don't give a shit. You can get out of my business answer.
Not popping out crotch goblins. Why do you care what's going on in my uterus? Let me stop. Oh my god. Why would you, that's a bad question. a bad question.
That's a whole episode's worth, right?
Because
there.
the whole
So-
episode's worth is like why people.
Why
are
do you
concerned.
think you belong in my uterus? That
Seriously.
should be the name of an episode.
Why do you think you belong in my uterus? Do you have grandbaby money? I have so many answers for this.
Right, I'm like, yeah, that should be your answer. When can I expect grandbabies?
Same time
when
you pop
can
out
I expect?
grandbabies. Your grandma get babies.
Oh my gosh. No, I was gonna say if they want to say when can we expect grandbabies, I'd be like, sure. When can I expect my $100,000 grant to care for said grandbaby?
Oh shoot! I love that answer. That was perfect. That was absolute gold. I knew you could be petty. I knew it.
Would you rather write me a check or direct deposit?
Actually, you know what? I would prefer that it just be like in increments over the next, 10 years, and then in 10 years we'll reevaluate that. Because a kid is freaking expensive. Alright, but also, let's go back to the conservative answer.
Yes.
Right now, it is not in anybody's best interest for me to have kids at the moment. Only because I'm still trying to figure out my life. The figuring out my life part being under your breath. I figured out for now I'm not having kids. Maybe you'll change your answer. Yeah. And that's perfectly valid. Maybe you will change your answer and that you actually do want kids down the line. Totally understandable. You are human, last I checked. If you're a robot, please message us. I would really like to pick your not quite human brain.
Yes.
But you're human, you're allowed to change your mind. But if you say oh, well, right now I don't want kids, and if you keep saying that, after 15 years, I'll stop asking.
Well, and also, obviously, our target demographic here, a lot of people listening are probably in their 20s, and we're chasing careers, we're chasing self-actualization, all these things. Mm-hmm. And, so yeah, a lot of times it's your family always wants you to have a baby sooner than you want to have a baby, even if you know that you want to have kids. I know that I want to have kids.
Yeah.
I just don't want to have them right this second because bitch got shit to do.
Right? You have a whole ass career that you need to manage.
Yeah, I've got lots of shit to do. So, cuddles. Okay. And so, yeah, it's being able to say, right now, I just don't think I'm in financially the best place to support a child. Right now, I don't think I have the time to give all of my attention to a child. Those are perfectly valid answers, and people might question them, but at the same time, it's okay for you to just say, this is where I'm at. And then, yeah, and if you're saying, I don't ever want kids, that's fine. If you're saying, I just don't want kids right now, that's fine too. And then there's also, what if your partner doesn't want kids or your partner isn't ready for kids yet? And it's we have to respect them too. Mm-hmm. Although I'm not sure, depending on how nosy your family is. I don't know if I would tell your family if your partner doesn't want kids yet, because last thing you want is grandma cornering.
Yeah, present a united front on that one.
Yeah.
Always present a united front on that one. But what about those people who can't have kids? And it's not widely known across the family, or insert whatever dynamic you're talking about. Let's say you're the kind of people who can't have kids. Mm-hmm. For whatever health complications there may be, or mental health issues that you may be experiencing, you can't have kids. I would suggest to refer back to my original answer, why are you in my uterus? Why are you in my balls about it? Because if for the people who can't have kids, sometimes that question is really touchy. Mm-hmm. And no one wants to have to talk at the dinner table or around the kitchen island while we're snapping green beans about why we can't have kids.
Right.
I wholeheartedly suggest the violent answer on that one. I don't suggest choosing violence every day, but choose the violent answer in that case.
Or the aggressive answer of,
same thing. Choose the aggressive answer. Why are you in my balls about it? Because hey, there are some men who just can't have kids, so I don't really want to make it just about the women about this.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And if it's, and you could even say, like, if perhaps you can't have kids, or you have been trying to have kids and you're having fertility issues, because that's another time it can be really difficult to get this question, is when you do want children and you are trying and it's just not happening. And being able to say, you know, to your family, that's something that we really want right now, and we're speaking to our doctors to make sure that I am healthy enough to carry a child, or that I am in the best shape I can be to carry a child. And that... To produce children. That sounds very clinical.
It's because it is.
Yeah, that's your non-baby wanting brain. That sounds really bad.
No, it's...
I wouldn't say to produce children. I would say to carry a child.
I would say produce children, because there are some men who are also infertile and have to go through fertility.
Yes, I guess that's true. Yes,
Yeah.
You're right. I guess that when you say it that way, I guess that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay to say to your family, especially if you don't want to explain to them, oh, I'm already going through IVF, or I'm trying to find out if I'm infertile, or you already know that you have some medical condition that makes pregnancy dangerous for you. If you don't want to go into that, you can just tell your family, you know, I'm considering my options, and right now that means that I'm working with doctors to make sure that my body is prepared for me to either carry a child or help produce a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like from that point that there's not much more to discuss, because if they want to go into it, you can always be like, well, I don't have a lot of information right now.
For you.
Right. Yeah. It's like, but the point is that you can always sort of be vague by saying, yeah, I'm going through a medical process.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that medical process is getting evaluated for IVF or getting evaluated to have your tubes tied, they don't need to know.
I can't get my tubes tied.
You can't?
Mm-mm.
Interesting. How did you find that out?
Because I am under the age of 25.
Okay, well, yes.
Oh, sorry. I am of the age of 25.
Uh-huh.
I'm unmarried, and I don't already have kids. Most doctors will not tie my tubes.
I know that. Yeah, and actually, in some states, it's under the age of 32. Oh
my God.
Yeah, you have to be over the age of 32, have at least 2 children, and be married. That's the really funny thing, is if you're unmarried, even if you already have children, they give you more trouble about getting your tubes tied, because what if you marry someone who wants children? It's like, okay, well, I will have informed them before we got married that my tubes are tied, and if they are interested in children, and I am also interested in children, we'll adopt. Because that's called healthy adult communication.
Oh, wow.
What? Huh?
Just like, oh, God. Getting down to the nitty gritty.
Actually communicating about our fertility goals when we get into a relationship? What?
Alright.
Okay.
So,
what is next?
Next question.
Okay. It's your turn to draw.
Yay. I just want to shake it up.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
That was cute. It's so weird hearing that in such a higher voice. It's so cute. Alright. Let's see. Why don't you talk to insert person anymore? Well, see, what happened was, and that is an acceptable start of the conversation in my family. See, what had happened was,
yeah, So, as she's saying, the first option is point blank, tell what the fuck happened.
Yeah. So, I don't know if I told you this, but it was like years ago. It was like my freshman year in college. I used to know this girl who we hung out with quite a bit. And come Halloween, we were supposed to hang out. And she ended up ghosting me on Halloween. My parents had dropped me off in the city so I could hang out with my friend, and she ghosted me. And to this day, my mom still calls her bitch her name. Every time we bring her up, my mom will still continue to refer to her bitch her name. And it's like, we're going to call her Stacy, like bitch Stacy. And I'm just like, Mommy, you can't keep doing that. So luckily enough, when I tell my mother about drama, she won't even like instinctively take my side. She'll listen. She'll even listen to me vilify myself, because I do have a habit of doing that. And then she'll be like, yeah, you messed up. But when it comes to bitch Stacy, she will always refer to her as bitch Stacy. So why don't you talk to Stacy anymore? We'll see what happened was, and then hopefully you'll have the family who'll be like, that fucking bitch Stacy. But realistically, why don't I talk to someone is actually a really tough question, because sometimes you had a really weird falling out. Maybe that falling out was mutual. Maybe that falling out was your fault. You know,
And maybe, like, for me, literally the first thing that I went to with this question was, like, what if that person that they're asking why you don't talk to them anymore is an uncle who sexually assaulted you last year when you came home for the holiday? And that's why you don't talk anymore. And of course, if you're dealing with any type of sexual harassment, assault, abuse, anything like that, with family or with anybody, we're always going to encourage you to go to the authorities and get help right away. And if you need someone to talk to help you feel safe doing that, please reach out to us and we will help you do that as well. I have had to bridge that gap and talk to someone about sexual assault. I don't know if you've ever had to go through that experience, but it's really tough, and we know how to do it. We've done it ourselves, and we can help you through that too. But also, we understand that some people, you don't feel safe or comfortable or know how to get help after those situations, especially if it's a family member that you don't see very often. And so coming back to how do you answer the question of why don't you and so talk anymore, if the answer is that something happened between you guys that you can't overcome. And I would say, the very first thing to say is, you can say to them, they did something to me that really hurt me, and I am still working through those feelings, but I don't really want to talk to you about it because I don't want to change your opinion of that person.
Fuck that. Ooh.
Oh, no. Well, I know that, of course, we don't ever want to tell people that they can just say that someone's a good person when they're not. But the truth is that for safety, sometimes we don't want to cause a confrontation, and we do, so we can't always say, yes, this person is doing this and I want you to know about it. Sometimes the best thing to say is just, they did something that really hurt me, but because I don't want to ruin your relationship with them, I'm going to choose not to tell you about what that thing is right now, because it's really just between me and them. As long as you can do that and still keep yourself in a safe position, then that's okay. But, the other, let's think about other reasons why you might not talk to someone anymore that aren't quite so dramatic. It might just be that you guys have a difference of opinion. It might be that they just weren't there for you when you really needed them. Like, say your car broke down and they didn't come help you when they were the only person available and you're still mad at them. It's, all of those things are valid and okay. And it is okay to tell your family member, yeah, I just don't, I am not in a good place with them, but you don't need to be involved in that because that's between me and them. So, yeah. Alrighty, well, we've got one more question to do. Flip, 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 flip.
Right. Oh, this one's gold. Let's see what's up with that one.
Oh, gold ones are our hot button topics.
All right. See the... Oh, religion. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So let's go ahead and so anything in regards to religion, I feel like that's a huge kind of conversation.
Yeah.
I grew up Christian. You didn't grow up particularly religious, did you?
No, I grew up atheist.
You grew up atheist.
No, well, not more agnostic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It depends. Like when I was a kid, my dad like completely shunned the church. But my grandmother was Christian, and then when I got older, like my dad's second wife was Christian, and she made us go to church, and then my dad started going to church, and then like sometime in high school, my dad decided he wanted to be a Christian again. Mm-hmm. But we went through this phase in my like middle school years where my dad was really into spirituality, and he was like studying like Buddhism and Taoism and encouraging me to study all these different types of world religions, and just really, you know, he encouraged me at that time like to be spiritual and find my connection with the energies of the universe. Okay. And that's always what really has stuck to me, is this idea that you can have a spiritual experience without being prescribed to any specific religion. But I wasn't really raised in a religion, and it's really odd because now my dad's religious.
Yeah. So I grew up Christian, and my parents were very devout to the church. Looking back on it now, is semi-cultish. So religion used to be actually a good chunk of conversation in regards to holidays. Okay. And the found family that we hung out with in my later teen years were also very Christian. Like we all got in the big circle and held hands, and two of the men of the group would say grace. Women obviously did not say grace. So religion definitely was one of those hot topic kind of conversations.
In your family, women are allowed to say grace?
It's not that they weren't allowed to say grace. It was always expected of the men to say grace.
And it's just interesting to me that you say that, because I think, like, in my family, the matriarch always says grace. Unless she specifically turns to the firstborn son and says, you say grace.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's like kind of, I mean, it really does depend on like which group that you're really in, because, you know, you're right. Like the matriarch might say grace. It's usually grandmother or mother.
Yeah.
Or in our case, it was simply just like men in general. Sometimes it really is just simply who is the head of family. If you are if you're a person who grew up particularly religious, whether that be Judaism, Christianity, and you have branched away from that religion, whether it is someone like me who's in spirituality, someone who like used to be Jewish and now they're Christian, even though, you know, umbrella terms, but whatever. Yeah. Coming to a family gathering where everyone is still within that religion that you were previously a part of can be really hard. So we'll kind of want to touch on how do we navigate that. And usually I'm going to be the safe one and say when in Rome. You know what I mean? Because like right now people are just trying to enjoy the holidays, and part of enjoying the holidays sometimes is really getting to enjoy the religious aspect of it. And even though Thanksgiving isn't the most religious holiday, it is still mostly celebrated by people of the Christian type of lifestyle, or grew up that way. So usually when you'll come home for things like Thanksgiving, Christmas is one of those things as well. Coming into the family that you previously used to commune with and worship with and fellowship with, and you are no longer part of that. I will personally say when in Rome, because in this particular case, They are just trying to enjoy it. And it's not usually the biggest part of the religious or the holiday experience.
Yeah, I would say that's true when you're talking about the religious traditions that are embedded in the holidays. But the experience that I've had more is oh, when was the last time you were in church? My pastor gave this great sermon the other day.
Let's all go together. It's Sunday. It's Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, you're going through this really stressful time at work. You should just pray about it. You really just should be praying more. Those types of things that really are in no way related to the holiday themselves. That can be harder to navigate. Or the other potential is when you're dealing with like you said, we also have Christmas and
Easter.
Yeah, Christmas and I was going to say Christmas and Hanukkah coming up, which are both Christian-based holidays. But what if you are going home for Christmas or Hanukkah with your family and you no longer prescribe to that and you practice Yule? And how do you connect with your family in that way? Or how do you deal with something as simple as, I'm at my family Christmas party. It may not even be on Christmas, just one of those big, because you know how some families, especially big ones, they'll have a Christmas party because on Christmas Day you're going to stay at your own house with your own kids and open gifts, right? Yeah. And so if you have a big family Christmas party and you and everybody else is dressed in red and green and you come in green, brown, and gold, and everybody's like, why are you dressed in such drab colors? No, I am dressed in the colors of winter nature because I celebrate Yule. And it can come down to some little things as simple as that as well, that our religious differences may just change the ways that we exhibit our holiday spirit. Right, around our family and dealing with questions about that. And, most of the time it's, I think the question that I tend to hear whenever someone's like, oh, well, I'm not Christian anymore, or, oh, I'm exploring this other religion, it's why? Everybody wants to ask you why. And I think, it's perfectly okay for you to say that I am just trying to find what provides me with the most fulfillment or the most reassurance when I am in times of need. And you don't have to get into the details. I think the biggest message that I'd like to leave people with today is that you don't always have to get into the details of your why. Hopefully at family holidays, there's other family members around. So if at any time you're like, you're asking me too many questions, just be like, oh, I think mom's waving me down. I think grandma needs help in the kitchen. Oh, look, cousin Jody just walked in. Don't be afraid to not give details. No, but you don't owe your details to anybody. So don't give them if you're not comfortable.
Yeah. It's always about setting boundaries.
Yes.
I feel like it's kind of the core of our conversations that we have is setting boundaries and being willing to not communicate about things that make you uncomfortable.
Right.
Boundaries are things that you have placed upon yourself and not rules that you put on other people. Right. So I'm like, well, you're not allowed to ask about this. I'm like, I'm choosing not to talk about this.
Right, because you can't stop people from asking you the questions, but, you can be respectful in the way that you choose to participate or not participate with those questions. Yeah. So, I feel like this was a little bit of a mess, but hopefully you guys found something helpful in it, or at the very least something entertaining. And, yeah. Stand up for yourself. Set your boundaries. Make sure you know your needs this holiday. whenever you go into a family event, think about these questions and think about what your answers might be. And whether you're going to give the honest answer or the conservative answer, make that up for yourself before you walk in. That way you already know, you're already comfortable, and you don't have to go through that panic moment of, holy shit, they asked me this question that I didn't want to talk about. If you already know you don't want to talk about that topic, rehearse your answer beforehand. Give yourself that security blanket of knowing what you're going to say, and also knowing how you're going to change or divert the topic. And never be afraid to say that someone needs help around the house. It's the holidays. Somebody always needs help somewhere around the house.
Seriously. Especially if you have a big family. I think I'm gonna go sweep. Sweep what? Sweep,
I think I saw them spill Christmas sprinkles earlier when they were doing cookies.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, cleaning. Who's gonna argue with when you're cleaning? Honestly, who's gonna argue with who you're cleaning? I never argue with any of my exes while they're cleaning.
I know. Just someone asks an awkward question, just look down at the table and be like, "Oh my goodness, where'd all these glasses come from? I should take care of this."
I was like, yes, this was a bit of a mess, but like, aren't most holidays a bit of a mess?
Yes. Yeah. I don't think this podcast is any messier than Thanksgiving.
Oh my god, seriously.
So, well, since it is Thanksgiving, do you have anything this week that you were grateful for?
I am grateful for the opportunities to grow, and not feel stifled in that growth. You know, it's not something that I had 3 years ago, and it's something that I've definitely grown and I've cultivated, you know, within the last year or so.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you? What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for my partners. I'm grateful to have a loving and adoring boyfriend who does all of the bills and makes sure that everything gets paid on time, and researches houses and moving trucks and all that stuff that I hate doing. And I'm grateful to have a best friend who puts up with my craziness and let's do a podcast. Thank you. Thank you for putting up with my crazy idea. You know, who always understands me without questions. So, yeah, I'm just grateful to have people in my life who really understand me for who I am and meet my needs, because I know that everybody isn't so lucky as that. But, gosh, I am starting to go into a food coma. Even from our little snackies here, so I think that means that it's time for a Thanksgiving nap.
Yeah, napping sounds like a really good idea. Right now.
But before we do that, where can people follow us?
Oh my goodness! All right, so you can follow me on Instagram at bunny_girl9621, and on TikTok. That's where I spend most of my time. TikTok is bunnygirl9621. So come hang out with me on the holidays. We'll see how the holidays go.
Yes. And also, we have an event coming up next week on her TikTok channel. I'm so excited. December 2nd, Thursday, December 2nd, we will be having Thirsty Thursdays, onesies and wine, which is live on her TikTok channel. We'll be wearing onesies, drinking lots of wine, and probably doing some silly games or things sort of similar to this one, but with much dorkier and more lighthearted questions.
Hopefully.
And we'll also be there live for you guys to ask us lots of questions, maybe play a little bit of truth or dare with you guys, who knows. So that'll be super fun. Onesies and wine, Thursday, December 2nd on TikTok Live, bunnygirl9621. And then my Instagram and TikTok are both Caitlin Sayers Says. The spelling is in the description down below. I recently started doing my daily workout journey on TikTok, so check those out. And then I'm also doing pick-me-ups, little pick-me-ups for you on TikTok, where I tell you how just absolutely amazing you are. So, if you would enjoy either of those or just want to see more exclusives from the podcast, go ahead and follow me at Caitlin Sayers Says on TikTok and Instagram. And then you can follow the podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Instagram, and YouTube under Turtle Bunny 20s. That's Turtle Bunny 20s. You can follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And also, there are some exclusive scenes that are only available on TikTok or Instagram. As in, they will only be posted on that one account. You can't see them anywhere else. So make sure that you are following the TikTok and Instagram channels for the podcast so that you get all of those exclusive fun clips of us. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment for us. And we'll look forward to hearing from you next week. I hope you guys have an amazing holiday.
Bye. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye. An update for the last 3 times we've shot this podcast.
Just do the update. Are we good?
I love it. Ready?
No, I'm not doing it. That's. I will lick you. Just like, across your face.
Okay, ready? Mm-hmm. To greet our adoring fans. Okay. Hello. Oh, I'm supposed to go first. I'm such a dork.
Wasn't me this time. Yes. This time. Hair will taste like makeup.
I'm using bare minerals. It might taste good.
It will not. I don't know, matter what makeup, unless it's like that juicy fruit shit from middle school, it will not taste good.
It's terrible. So terrible.
It was so bad.
Oh my gosh.
Alright.
We can focus.
No.
Maybe?
No, it's fine.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
Right.
Okay, ready?
I bought a mistletoe, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not gonna last. Like, I just like, ooh, mistletoe. And I'm
That's
just like,
cute.
why the fuck did I buy this right now?
Hey, that sounds great to me.
I love you.
I love
and
you.
I love DJ. You know I do.
Yeah.
I just like...
The thing is, if the world turned against white people, DJ is at least Hispanic passing.
Yeah.
So
He really
I'm
is.
screwed.
He really is. It'd be a cute pet, though. That's fine. I love you.
Do you see what?
She's fine. She's fine. She likes it.
Right. I know. I can't act like I'm the oppressed party.
Damn it, woman.
Right.
Yes.
Hello. I did too fast.
Pages.
She's like, you guys get your shit together.
She's fine. For some reason, like the little fish on the Roku just stopped working. I can't put the fish on. It's really fun.
That's so sad.
Sorry. That was rude! He's already a tech guy. Come on.
The tech guy who can fix your fish. So many meanings to that.
Hopefully it'll be my clam he's fixing.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.